Are you constantly posting on social media as a freelance writer, but you're getting zero clients? Let's talk about that. There's a reason why you're not getting any clients, even though you're posting on social media. And maybe you're posting on uh, TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or even YouTube, or you have like some other kind of social media or like Snapchat. I don't know how you would use that, but these are the kinds of things that we need to know about using social media, what to do and what not to do as a freelance writer. So the first thing that we're going to talk about, and this is really important, is LinkedIn. So number one, let's talk about LinkedIn. So is LinkedIn actually social media? Kind of. Yes and no. So the cool thing about LinkedIn is that it straddles both sides. So when we're using LinkedIn, we're using it to connect with clients one-on-one. So we're sending our in-mails, right? We're sending our LOIs, our letters of introduction through in-mails. We're connecting to grow our network. We might be sharing little posts here and there. But LinkedIn is like people are actively looking for opportunities or actively looking for freelance writers or actively doing stuff that has to do with business. This is a lot different than other platforms like Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, where you're trying to attract them to your brand or get them to follow you, or it's a way different kind of game. In LinkedIn, you're not really gathering followers, right? You're gathering connections, you're gathering a lot of different stuff. Hey, Vesna. Yes, Vicky, I heart LinkedIn too. LinkedIn's the best. So when we're using LinkedIn, it's very different than what we would use for like Instagram or Facebook or other social media platforms, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever. Um, so as we're kind of using LinkedIn, what we're doing is thinking about it more as one-to-one. And this is a really important thing that don't step on her, that we need to know, that we need to know. Don't just stay in your own zone. She's already settled. She's happy under her blanket. Come here. Come here. Come lay down with your little support duck. Okay. Well, close enough. Why don't you lay down with your support duck, okay? She's settled over there. She's happy. She's moving. Good job, everybody. He'll settle. Don't worry. Good boy, buddy. Good boy. I saw those tail wags. Good boy, buddy. Oh, you can't see the tail wags on here, but good job, Barry. So with LinkedIn, we're using it as one-to-one. This is something that's really important to know, right? So one-to-one means connecting with people one-to-one, right? Hey, Marie, sending our LinkedIn connection requests one-to-one. We're sending our LOIs via in-mails one-to-one. We are liking and commenting on a brand kind of on a one-to-one basis. Don't step on her. It's okay. You're okay, Charlie. Barry, oh my gosh. We have a shuffle. So hold on. I need to deal with this shuffle. Oh, that was a nice mermaid leg, Minnie. All right, Barry, do you want to go back to go over there? Hold on. We're dealing with the bear shuffle. All right, go over here. Do you want to be over here? Is this what you want? You want to be over on that bed? Okay. Now that you're over, okay, now we're settled. There we go. Let me wrap you up like a little potato, little hot potato. There we go. There you go. You got your support duck. Minnie, why don't you get under here? Get under the blanket. Come here. Good girl. Come on. There we go. There you go. Oh, she's a stop aid. Oh, go lay down in your hobbit hole. Hi, Holly. Holly, we're having a little move around of our friends over here. All right, do you want to lay down? I'll cover you in your blankie. You're like, no. You're like, I want the snacks. You're like, I'm only here for the snacks. Hold on. All right, ready? There we go. Good job. Good job. All right, lay down snug. We're going to do snacks later. Okay. So, one-to-one. This is really important about LinkedIn. The difference here between LinkedIn and another platform is like it's one-to-many, right? So me being on YouTube is one-to-many, right? I would have to be hoping that lots of other freelance writers come and find this channel, right? Which is obviously important. But it's way different than getting clients as a freelance writer. Like me building a brand or building like brand awareness or building a library of tips and tricks for freelance writers, or building an education hub like I do on YouTube or like I do on Instagram, that's way different. So a lot of times I see, yeah, it's definitely the dog shuffle that we have all the time. Now she's over here with like her blanket half on. She looks like she definitely has a mermaid tail. So as we're kind of thinking about these platforms, like we as freelance writers, I get it. There are some freelance writers who have like tens of thousands of followers on Instagram. They get clients to reach out to them all the time. But I haven't found that that's the majority. It's really the minority. And usually what ends up happening is that person has spent many, many years building a following, and then they specialize in something super specific like sales pages, right? Or something like a very specific type of copywriting where people on Instagram would be looking for that type of thing. For us who actually need to pay our bills and eat, we need to do one-to-one. We need to get on LinkedIn. We need to grow our network. We need to be in a place where people actively do business stuff, right? So I have a bear. I know I have like a mini hair on my eyelash. So as we're kind of building our business, really think about it as like one-to-one and one-to-many. So when I do YouTube and when I do Instagram, I know that that's one-to-many, that like I'm using different techniques or I'm using different stuff to gather people, right, around my content, right? That's not what we want as freelance writers. We don't have time to wait for people to gather around our content, right? We have to pay for kibbles and we have to pay for other stuff and we have to actually build a business. So this is a big difference when what you should do with social media. What you should do is use LinkedIn, and LinkedIn should be used in a couple different ways, right? Number one, profile, so people can find you. Make sure you answer those right questions. I have a video on that. I'll link to that in the description. And then the other thing to do with LinkedIn is grow your network. Send your LOIs via InMail. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is like the best. And then as you're using LinkedIn, what you're posting is stuff about wins with your clients, or you're posting about new clients that you've gotten, or new clips that you've gotten, or things that have changed in your business, right? Kinds of things that potential clients would care about. Anytime you're kind of wondering, what should I post? What should I post on LinkedIn? The answer is, what do my ideal clients need to know most about hiring me? Like, what do they need to know? Or what are things that they struggle with that I can help with? I don't like the idea of putting up a post being like, hi, I'm looking for work, or my schedule is finally open. You know, like that's not, that's not like a power play. That's not something that looks good. Like I just feel like that's desperation and I don't like it. Like the freelance writers I know who make above 6 figures or who are really killing it, even if they don't make 6 figures, but their schedule's always busy, they're never posting on LinkedIn that their schedule's open or like that they're taking work. Like they're always posting, hey, I can, my schedule is full, but I can recommend writers. So if you've been reaching out to me, I can recommend somebody else. Okay. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, Marie. So if you never know what to post on LinkedIn, I know Vesna says the same thing. You're just posting, like, here's the thing. When you're in a certain part of your career, don't even worry about posting. Like the posting part for me came way later in my career. So like I just wouldn't worry about it. Like I would not even worry about it. Use your posts strategically. So you might not post that often, but when you post, it's actually useful stuff that people care about. So with LinkedIn, it's not like Instagram likes recency, right? And YouTube and a lot of other places like recency. So they want you to post a lot, right? TikTok. But with LinkedIn, it's not so much about recency. It's more about quality, and it's more about like actually adding to the conversation or doing stuff that's worthwhile, at least from what I've seen. So you don't need to post all the time on LinkedIn. You just need to post when you get new clients, when you get new clips, and not saying like, I got a new clip, check it out. It should always be a post that's like, hey, at client, right? Like tag your client. Client and I worked on this thing. I got to interview some subject matter experts and we talked about tips and tricks to do these things. If you feel like that would be helpful, check it out here. Like you're always using this post to reflect back on the working experience or how great it was or the fun things that are in the content. It's never about like, I have a clip, just read it. Like that doesn't work. So the posting on LinkedIn is more about important things that your clients care about or important milestones in your business or things that are useful to solving the pain points and struggles of your clients, right? It's not about recency. And this is another big difference that we'll talk about platforms, right? LinkedIn is the best because we don't have to be posting constantly. It's not really like, Instagram or stuff where like there's up and down and like however much you post, the more your stuff gets seen and like it's a whole thing. So just focus on sending your LOIs and growing your network. Then later on, when you have extra time, then you can worry about posting stuff. Yeah, and the other thing is like if your ideal clients aren't on LinkedIn that much, then don't even worry about posting because they're not going to see it. I would rather go email those people. Like if you find out that there's actually a couple of my students, and Marie's kind of one of them, where they're not on LinkedIn that often. So you send them an email or you call them. I have another student, Ruth Ann, who, we were talking about her stuff and I was like, why don't you call and get the marketing manager's email? So she calls to actually get emails because they're just not available. She can't find them. And that's just something where you learn how to use different platforms. So you might use LinkedIn to find the marketing person or the content person, but then you might have to go find their email with hunter.io, or you may have to go call the company and get their email. But honestly, like if your people aren't using LinkedIn that much, you're using LinkedIn just to find out who they are, then you're using other methods. So even then, posting wouldn't be that useful. Yeah, so Vesna, this is a good thing. If you're trying to figure out what to say about working with clients and it sounds unnatural, it will sound unnatural. It's a new thing, right? Vesna, these are like new things that we're doing. So as we're kind of going through these posts, they're gonna sound weird, right? And when I write them, it still sounds weird. But what you want to make it is like as genuine, like make it genuine. Don't make it like sleazy sounding. So what that means is you just say like, who did I work with? What did we do? What did I do to complete that project? And then explain the experience. This was like, maybe the experience wasn't fun, right? Maybe the experience wasn't fun and exciting, but the experience was like, I learned so much about this topic from this expert. Or maybe the experience was like, like doing all this research really reminded me how much I really enjoyed diving into the details. Or maybe the answer is like, I really loved interviewing these people because of XYZ. Like what you're doing is explaining those things. Like who did you do? I have to sneeze, but who did you do the project with? What did you do? Hold on. Okay. Who did you do the project with? What did you do? Was it a blog post, case study, white paper? How did you do that? Did you do interviews? Did you do research? Did you make a listicle? Did you make a blog post from a webinar? What did you do? How did you do it? Interviews, research, write it up, whatever. And then what was the experience like? If you follow that format, it's very genuine. Like you just say what it is. And if it was a shitty experience, maybe you cut the experience part. Maybe you just talk about the clip. But don't overthink it. Remember, the more you kind of get used to doing this, the easier it becomes. It's the same thing as those connection requests, right? Like I always have students that are like, what do I say? And it's like, we have templates, but it's also like the more you do it, you don't even need the templates because you write the same thing so many times that you just don't even need to worry about it. Hold on. All right. So that's number one. So number one is LinkedIn is kind of social media-ish, but it works differently. Oh my gosh. Woo! Go back to your woo hole. Nope. Hi. Go back to your hobbit hole. You have to go back to your hobbit hole. Go back to your hobbit hole. Come here. Go back to your hobbit hole. Then you can get something. All right. Let's do a little pup date real quick. Barry, your eye is really leaking today. As you can see, Barry's going to have surgery on that eye that's leaking. He has a little bump on there that all of a sudden just like he's had it for 2 years and we had it examined and it's benign and all that. And all of a sudden it just started leaking and like getting out of control. So his eye is always leaking. But on the positive side, a few things. Bo is going to be 16 in a handful of days. So on November 1st, Bo is going to turn 16 and he is a giant dog. Okay, so like if this is your first live stream that you've ever watched, Bo is like 60 to 65 pounds, somewhere in there, and he's 16 and he still runs up and down the stairs. He still runs around outside. Back up. Back up. All right, Barry, you want a Trito? There you go, buddy. Good job. So I was going to tell you some interesting thing about them, but I forgot what it is right now. Ready? Good job. Good job. Other one. Other one. Good job. I like your bug eyes. Your bug eyes are adorable. Go back to your hobbit hole. Yes, I like your little bow. Go back to your hobbit hole. Back up. Go back to your hobbit hole. All right. I did say Trito. Okay, good. Vesna, I'm glad that was helpful. Yeah, just break it down into simple steps. Don't sit there looking at the blank post for LinkedIn and be like, what am I supposed to say? Just break it down into the facts of like, who did I work with? What did I do? How did I do it? How did it go? That kind of stuff. Ready, Mary? Good job, buddy. All right, Charlotte. High five. Good job. High five. Other one. Good job. High five. Good job. You look very, very beautiful today. Both of you. Even though your eye is leaky, Barry, this is just part of it. Hi, Getty. Welcome. It's okay. You can always linger. It's okay. That's totally fine. All right. Let's talk about number 2. So now we know a little bit about LinkedIn. We know, oh, and just PS, LinkedIn is my all-time favorite platform. It's the best. Use LinkedIn. Forget about everything else. All right. Let's talk about 2. So what platforms can we use? If we really want to be spicy, we want to be spicy tamales. What platforms can we use? LinkedIn. Just use LinkedIn. If you want to be spicy tamale and use other things, I do know writers who use Instagram, but honestly, like I've gotten clients through Instagram, or not like I haven't signed them, but I've gotten inbound leads from Instagram, and it's never been stuff that's high paid or quality work or stuff that I actually want to do. I think Instagram can be kind of a crapshoot. It's not as reliable. Like LinkedIn, if you need to build a business, you got to go on LinkedIn. The other thing is that I have other platforms, right? So platforms could be that you're using Apple Podcasts. So when you get to a certain point in your career, I have a couple of friends who have podcasts to attract ideal clients, right? They even interview ideal clients on their podcast. And so that way it's very niche down. It's very specific. And they have these podcasts so that they can get more specific types of clients, and they can become kind of like a thought leader and an expert. Like they can show their skills in that niche. The other thing is live streams, right? YouTube. I think YouTube is helpful if you do a lot of video stuff, right? So there are more and more video opportunities coming up. And I think if you were able to show your expertise or explain a lot of things, YouTube is good for that. But a lot of these are advanced. Like a lot of freelance writers just use LinkedIn. Just turn mute on everything else that's not LinkedIn. Then if you want to work on things later, like you want to share other things, Instagram, YouTube is great because it's very evergreen. Like they do like recency, but they also, they will show like content that's years old. So YouTube and Instagram are great. Snapchat is super short. TikTok is like, that's like a whole thing. And that's the same thing with recency, and like, it's a lot of work and it's like a lot of short stuff. So you don't really get the chance to like explain things as well because it's so short. But there's so many different platforms. I just think that when we're kind of starting out and when we're kind of, yeah, if you want to be a spicy tamale, Holly, I can't believe I haven't said that yet Holly's one of my students, and I usually say that in our live Q&As. So like, I can't believe I haven't said that yet. But yeah, like there are different phases of your career. So like I didn't start YouTube and Instagram until 2 years ago. Like I was very late to Instagram, but also, hi Woo. But also I didn't start building out parts of like me teaching students and teaching freelance writers until a couple years ago, even though I had been teaching them for years before that. And these are useful for me kind of growing a brand or growing other things. When I'm starting my actual business, like even in my business right now, my 6-figure business, my freelance writing stuff, I still like almost exclusively, like always use LinkedIn. Instagram and YouTube are things that I use for like helping freelance writers or answering questions on that front. Like, and that is more widespread, right? I'm not necessarily, like trying to get a client to like sign a contract. I'm more showing like knowledge or helping them or getting them to the next step or helping them understand that like maybe my course is a good fit for them as their next step. So like, we'll talk about Freelance Writer Wealth Lab, or we'll talk about the community part, or we'll talk about what happens in there or what they learn. So this is a lot more of an opportunity for me to kind of like warm people up and have them understand, like, am I the right teacher? I hear you, Woo. Am I the right teacher? Go back to your hobbit hole. No, go back to your hobbit hole. Am I the right teacher? Are they getting value from my free content, which means they would get value from my paid content? And then that process is very slow. We can't do that in our freelance writing business. We can't wait years or months for someone to just like agree to do something in our business. Here you go, buddy. All right, Charlie, ready? High five. High five. Good job. Oh my gosh. We need things to move a lot quicker, which is why we like LinkedIn and direct reach outs and one-on-ones and all that stuff. So we can use other platforms, but they're not as quick. They can take a long time, and we're using them for different things. So really just LinkedIn. Holly says the course is amazing. Thank you, Holly. I always like a little shout out for the course just because I feel like a lot of what I think is interesting, and I give a lot of stuff away for free, right? I write a weekly newsletter, which is different than what I do here on the live stream, right? Every week I have a newsletter and a live stream. So I'm giving away that. Plus I'm giving away tips and tricks every single day on Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube, right? So I'm like putting all the stuff out there. But the thing is like that I think kind of is important to note is like when people get in the course is like dense. It's like bootylicious, okay? The course is like a voluptuous, heavy set, like big, thick peach, right? So even though I give a lot of stuff away for free, like the course itself is still very dense. And I think that's important because I don't know if you're like me, where you've taken a freelance writing course and you're like, this is all the stuff I already heard from them, right? This is all the stuff I already know, or these are things that they're just repeating from their free stuff, or like they're not actually going that deep. The course, this is like, what I give you all the free stuff is like tactical, but the course goes way deeper into like functional, really deep down, thought-provoking steps. So even if you watch all this free content, I can guarantee you, that the course is like thicker than you will imagine. Like it has all of the extra like little bits that help. Okay, so back to the point. It's Mandy's knowledge on steroids. Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's like the course gives me a focused place to like lead people through the steps. And it gives me a place to like say like, okay, we talked about this, let's go this. The live stream is like, I can't really do that. Like, not only do I not have enough time on the live stream to do it, like, but I need to do a lot of different things in the lessons and take people through different thoughts and give them worksheets and have them think about things that we really can't do on the live stream. So just a little plug for the course. It's opening in April 2023. So it's still a while away. Let's talk about number 3. Let's talk about 3. 1 second. If I can figure my stuff out. There we go. 3. And let's do a little pup date. Let's do pup date. Oh, we're missing a pup from our pup date. Charlotte, go back to your hobbit hole, you sass. You're like over here being a sass machine. Okay. First of all, let's see if we can like readjust a little bit. Okay. Now we get your cute little ears. Barry, you look beautiful. You look super geriatric and adorable. Good job. Okay. Ready? High five. Other one. Good job. High five. Ow. Gentle. All right. Good job. As you'll notice, Charlotte is getting more and more of her powdered sugar jowls. She's about to be 10 in a few months. Go back to your hobbit hole. Oh my gosh, you're active sass today. Can you spin? No, you can spin. If you spin, you'll get it. Can you spin? Come here. Can you spin? Nope. We're working on new tricks. I know we're kind of like high-fived out. We're working on new things. Back up. Back up. Back up. Back up. Back up more. Back up. Charlotte. You know how to back up. Back up one more. Back up. Back up. Back up. Okay, fine. Just because you're cute and I like your little shark teeth. All right, Barry. If anyone has any suggestions of what we should do for Barry's 16th birthday, we are open to that as well. So if you have any recommendations of what we should do, he can walk quite a distance. So we took him on the trail the other day, and the trail, I think, is a couple miles. So round trip, I want to say the trail all the way back through our neighborhood is like close to a couple miles, or it's like a mile and a half. I forget what it is, but So he can walk on trails, he can walk, his vision's not great. But if anyone has any recommendations of what we should do for a 16-year-old, 65-pound geriatric dog that's kind of blind and deaf, we're open to it. All right. Hello. Do you want to be picked up and see everybody? Or you just want to stand here and like get your jowl juice all over me? All right, let's talk about 3. Okay, let's talk about what we should post, which we already did, right? So let's talk about when we're posting on social media, which basically right now just means LinkedIn. So when we're posting on LinkedIn, what is it, Vesna? It's who did you work with? What did you do? What was the project? What did you actually do to complete that project? And how did it go? Basically, like, what was the experience, right? That's what we're posting on LinkedIn. Don't overcomplicate it, okay? Please don't make it overcomplicated, because the more complicated you make it and the higher you're like, oh, this person did this and now I have to do this and now I have to compete, you won't do it. Literally just make it simple and you will post more often and you will get better traction. Like, you will get more comments, or you will get more clients who see your stuff, who are excited about it. Like, when I posted, I had a case study that I really enjoyed working on go out, I don't know, like a month ago or something. And I posted about it and I had a bunch of people like and like talk about it or talk to me about it who I haven't heard from in like forever, like potential clients. So I think that that's more important. Like, just do it. Don't overthink it. Don't make it crazy, but talk about who did you work with? What did you do? Blog post, case study, ebook, report, blah, blah, blah. How did you get it done? How did you actually do the work? And what was the experience like? What did you enjoy? What did you learn? Was it fun? Was it something that reminded you of something? Like, use that as a way to just describe it. And then when we're moving through things, so as we're going through social media, right? We don't want to this is something not to do, right? Don't post the desperate post. I already mentioned this. I know people do it. I know they do, but please don't. Please don't. It just kind of furthers the starving artist thing, okay? And if you haven't read Jeff Goins' book, Real Artists Don't Starve, please go read that book. But I see this all the time from freelance writers. And I know this to be true because I know them personally. So I know that a lot of these freelance writers who post this are making like 40 grand, 50 grand a year, and they're not happy at that number. There's a big difference between a freelance writer who makes 40, 50 grand and they're like, yes, I feel good at this number. I don't want to make more money. I don't care about whatever. I feel good at, and people who are like struggling every single year to hit 40, 50, 60K. And they're like, oh my God, when does it get easier? Okay. The people that I see posting those things like, oh, I have schedule space, or like, I can take on 2 more clients, or like, I can, like, oh, please contact me if you need a writer. Those are the people who are struggling to actually make money. Every single time, it's always that. It's not people who are killing it. People who are killing it are like posting about how they can give away work, right? So we need to think about when we're posting on social media, right? So this is just LinkedIn that I'm talking about, and then we'll go to other stuff. So as we're posting on social media, it's going to be in different phases too. So number 1, post about new clips, new projects, new clients, new stuff. The other thing that you're going to post about or use it for is basically just to maybe talk about milestones in your business, or things that you've learned, or changes that have happened, or how these things are affecting writers in your niche, or how the economy or blah, blah, blah is affecting freelance writing, or laws. That's another thing, is like there's a lot of weird laws that have affected freelance writers. And so you can talk about that stuff, or stuff that's trending in your niche, right? So we're using these for different stages, but when we're kind of starting out, like I didn't even start really posting on social media until I started building more teaching, education type stuff. I posted what I talked about, right? Things I got, clients, wins, clips, stuff I cared about, like things that I care about in terms of like getting more clients. I hear you, woo. I hear you. You're wooish. You're wooish. You're wooish and spicy. So when you get to the next stage of your business, this is a couple things. So let's talk about the next stage part. The next stage part is that you know who your clients are. You know who is bringing in the cake money and the icing money. You know where you need more clients. Like if I'm looking at prop tech right now, right, I might want to say, I need to add more hospitality tech. Or if I'm looking at travel, I might need to add more of this. Like you're better equipped to understand what you need to promote to get more of, or what you need to talk about. The other thing is that if you're going to start a podcast or if you're going to start YouTube or something, it needs to be specific. And I do know freelance writers who have very general newsletters, right? But it's the same thing where, oh my goodness gracious, you're spicy. You're spicy taco. Okay, Charlotte, go back to your hobbit hole. That's not your hobbit hole. So when you're thinking about doing something that's outside of LinkedIn, think about specificity. So if you were going to do Instagram, you would want it to be very specific. Do you help people with SaaS, right? Like, you know a lot about writing in SaaS. So then your whole Instagram thing is about SaaS. Specificity on other platforms is really important. Like Instagram really loves that. They want you to be about like one thing. They don't like generalized random shit. So, and this is just like my general knowledge. I'm not an Instagram expert. Hello. Go back to your hobbit hole. No, I'm not going to. Okay, I see you doing high fives and they look spectacular, but you have to go back to your hobbit hole in order to get your snacko. Go back to your Treato hole. Go back to your hobbit hole. We can stand off here all day, buddy. Go back to your hobbit hole. So as you're kind of doing stuff, think about specificity. So if you're going to do a YouTube channel, if you're going to do Instagram, if you're going to do some other platform, think about as like you have so much knowledge to share, or you want to learn more things about that, or you want to do specifically like kind of go down the rabbit hole. That's what you would use them for. You have to go back to your hobbit hole. Go back to your hobbit hole. All right. Back up. Back up. Back up. You gotta back up. Back up. Back up. Back up. Charlotte, you're just like full on sass today. You're a sass bean. Here you go, buddy. I know. Sometimes it's hard to see where it is. Yeah, you can tell them you're sassy. Exactly. You could be a sassy writer. Yeah. So anytime you're thinking of another platform that's not LinkedIn, and even on LinkedIn you're specializing, but you're usually specializing in multiple niches, I think if you're going to do Instagram or some other type of platform, you really need to be like a specialist in that area. So it's like my friends who have like a marketing podcast for a specific type of business, or they talk about like one of them, right, like has she talks about like payments, like HR or not HR, accounts, like accounts and payments. And then the other one is like super complicated engineering stuff that I don't understand. So, but those have to do with their ideal clients, and they're moving more into strategy, content strategy, marketing strategy, messaging, and positioning. So if you are going to make that transition, I would suggest really having a specific type of client that you want to attract with those things. Because when it becomes too general, then it's like all over the place, right? And I even have a thing, right? We're here because I give advice for freelance writers, right? If I was like talking to freelance writers, book authors, social media strategists, and all this stuff, like this would be a channel that would be too disorganized, right? So I like sassy, yeah. So when you think about these other platforms, you should make sure that it's focused. Don't make it too general. Don't go through there and make it all garbagey. The other thing is that recency, right? You need to know which channel or which platforms focus and like recency, because that means you need to post a lot. LinkedIn doesn't really do that. That's not really how their stuff works, as far as I know. Maybe it does. I don't know. Maybe I'll learn something today. But the deal is that when we have LinkedIn, we have a better way of kind of targeting and being around other people that are looking for help, right? When we're on Instagram, it's like we're fighting a lot of different things, and a lot of people are on Instagram, and it's like your clients aren't necessarily using Instagram to find writers, right? Your clients are using Instagram to grow their own brand or to share their own stuff. They're not on there, and they're like find their own clients, not necessarily find a writer, right? So we want to make sure that we're using them properly. Same thing with YouTube or any other platform. So when we're thinking about what to do and what not to do, those are really important. Specificity, generalization, right? Specificity is really important. What's not important is being general. And what you don't want to do is like write random posts that have like just nothing to do with you getting clients, or that are like, oh my God, I'm desperate. Please give me some work. The other thing too, to remember about that, if you end up posting something where you're like, my schedule is open for these many clients, like most of the time, I just can't imagine someone comes to you with a $10,000 project. No one's just going to be like, oh, they have schedule space. We have a $10,000 project we were hoping you to work on. So it's not how it works. Like usually it's like $500. They're like, yeah, we have a project. It's a one-off $500. Or it's like, yeah, we can have you do this thing that's, $1,000. Like when you're doing that kind of stuff, that's why I don't like posting it, because it's really hard to move your income up if you're always taking these like little projects all the time. So when you're using social media, really pay attention, especially LinkedIn, right? What we're doing here is that we're thinking about how to help our clients, how to attract them, right? To basically solve their problems. So attracting them means showing that you know how to solve their problems, which means showcasing your work, showcasing clients in their niche, that kind of stuff. We don't want to be putting up general posts like about needing work. That's just not good. Plus, the other thing too is that there's a big difference. Like if you go look on different platforms, Twitter is another one. If I was going to go on Twitter, right, like some people use Twitter to get clients, right? They use Twitter as a way to send DMs to their clients. And a lot of times it's editors. So the editor will have a call for pitches, or they will just like send a DM to them on Twitter because they see they're super active, and then they'll send them a pitch, right? They'll get their email address and send them a pitch. So Twitter can be really helpful for writers, but I still don't think it's as helpful as using LinkedIn. Plus Twitter is the same thing. You have to like publish content all the time. You're always publishing things. So as you move through, like if I really had to pick some, like I just think LinkedIn is the best. The other thing is that we have 4. We need to do number 4. Hold on. Let's go to 4. Number 4. All right, number 4. And we still have a friend who's not in the hobbit hole. Go in your hobbit hole. Oh my gosh, why are you so sassy? Come here. Oh my gosh, you're such a sass bean. Go to your hobbit hole. All right, well, you can hang out over here, and Barry's going to get all the snackos over there because you're not in your hobbit hole. Here you go, Barry. You have to get in your hobbit hole. Get in your hobbit hole. Good job. Good job, Barry. Barry, you're doing great today. I like your support duck. I like how your support duck is supporting your little legs. Good job, buddy. All right. Charlie, you want to do one high five for the road? Good job. Okie dokie. Let's go back to, hold on, I have dog drool all over my hands. Ugh. Okay. There we go. So let's talk about a little bit of anything to do if you hate social media. So number 4 here is what to do if we hate social media, and anything else that we should not do. So I think a lot of times, there we go. I think a lot of times when we are thinking about social media, we think about, like, this is the question I get a lot from freelance writers, is the recency. Like, oh my gosh, I don't want to post that much, or I hate social media. Then don't use it. Don't use it. This is something, you don't have to use social media as a freelance writer. You don't. I don't consider LinkedIn that social media-y, right? We're using LinkedIn not to post. And most of the time when people talk about social media, they're talking about posting. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, post. We're not doing a ton of posts. Literally, you need LinkedIn to go find people to reach out to send your LOIs, right? And then you can use other resources to find magazine editors and send them pitches. But when we're kind of going through that, you don't have to post a ton. There are plenty of writers who never post ever, and they still make a ton of money, right? They don't post anything. They don't have Instagram. They don't have Twitter. They might have a podcast, but they literally just do their marketing. They send their LOIs, they send their pitches, move on with their life. So you don't even have to use social media. Yes, social media is a thing that a lot of industries use. And yes, it's a thing that your clients might ask you if you can help with. You can just tell them that you don't want to help with that. But literally, if you can use LinkedIn just to find people to reach out to, that's enough, okay? So if you hate social media, don't use it. Don't use it. It's not essential. Like I said at the very beginning of this video, it's about one-to-one connections. I still believe in that, because I haven't seen like huge piles of freelance writers make huge piles of money from like making posts all the time. It's like they make a connection with someone and build a relationship and get some work, or they send an LOI and they start building a relationship, or they send a pitch and they start building a relationship with that magazine editor. It's still one-to-one. So the other part is that I think the other thing that people are worried about is just when they get on social media that they should be following a bunch of trends, or that they should be following a bunch of this person's doing that, or that they should be, there's like a bunch of rules that they need to follow in order to be successful. And I just don't think that's worth it. Like, I think it's better to stand out. I think it's better to do your own thing. How am I going to help my clients? Talk about that. How am I going to get more projects or solve problems or deal with their struggles? Talk about that. Like, your LinkedIn isn't necessarily so much about like personal stuff. Twitter can be more personal. Instagram can be more personal. Facebook obviously can be more personal. I don't know that many freelance writers. There's like a hair. There we go. I don't know that many freelance writers who are using Facebook to get clients, but like, just, man, I just think that it's better to just be yourself. It's better to be yourself and talk about the things that really matter to you and your clients. That helps you actually get people that are interested. If you feel pressure all the time to post, and you feel pressure to do all this stuff and be on all the platforms, like, that's not going to make you do it. Like, having just the fact that you have LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok doesn't mean you're going to do it all the time. Like, they have to be platforms that you actively use. Like, I actively like using LinkedIn. I actively like using Instagram, and I actively like YouTube. Those are the ones I use all the time. I like them. I don't use Twitter, so I don't go on Twitter, and I'm not on TikTok or Snapchat or any of the other things, right? Clubhouse. But as we're thinking through these things, you have to use it in terms of where you're spending time. So don't just like set up all the profiles and be like, I have to be on social media. Someone said, like, just don't. And I also, like I said, the times where I've seen people really get high-end clients is because they specialize in it and they make a profile and a brand about it, right? So they specialize in sales pages, so they make their Instagram all about how to do better sales pages or use copywriting to create better sales pages or whatever it is. And they give away so many tips that eventually a lot of high-end clients like go find them and they stumble upon their content and hire them to do that, right? Vesna says, I'm so happy to hear that I don't have to use social media and it won't kill my biz. It won't. Like, it's really still one-to-one. It's not like you have to be everywhere all the time. And like I said, I only started using Instagram and YouTube after the fact. Like, that was after I had already been coaching people and already been mentoring people and I already had a ton of stuff going on. Then I did that. The other thing to think about too is that you're using social media as a way to like expand on things, right? So I'm using social media as a way to like give you guys more tips and tricks, or to go on Instagram and give like quick hits of like, here's some things to think about, right? It's a way for me to share more of the stuff. Like, I already have a ton of ideas. I keep a giant document of live stream ideas, and I keep a giant document of email ideas. So like, all the stuff you see is beyond that. Those are like extra ideas I've had. So like, if you are bursting with ideas about something, that could be a podcast or a blog or a live stream or a social media profile. But if you're not, that's totally fine. What you need to focus on is like paying your bills, which means getting clients, which usually means the only platform you care about is LinkedIn. So don't start all these things. The other thing too is that if you feel like you would find it hard to be consistent, don't do it, because you might end up having to give your clients advice. And right, your advice, this is the thing about a blog, and I talk about this often. This is why I don't recommend people like freelance writers start a blog, because if you start a blog and you can't be consistent with it once a week or twice a week, however often you're going to post, you cannot go to your clients and tell them, oh, you have to do this blog stuff because otherwise it's not worth it. You have no credibility now because you stopped posting on your blog 3 years ago or a year ago or 6 months ago, right? This is why I don't like the blog thing, because what happens is you're like using the blog as a way to maybe get clients or to show expertise or whatever. And then when your schedule gets busy, the blog falls to the wayside, and now you're trying to give advice on something you don't do, right? That's not good. This is the same thing. Like, if you're on social media, you got to be consistent about it. Like, in terms of Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, you got to be more consistent about it. LinkedIn, you don't have to be that consistent. You can do it when you need to, and you use LinkedIn enough to be on there to send LOIs and pitches. Yes, Woo. Hello. Yeah. So LinkedIn is also, the other thing about it is like what Marie said, is that LinkedIn is more of like a database rather than a platform, right? So like a lot of Instagram and YouTube stuff is like a platform where people go to find other things. LinkedIn is like people are usually going on it to like do certain things with their profile or share things or, you know, interact in a different way. It's not the same thing as if I go to someone's Instagram feed and I scan through their posts. That's way different than going to someone's LinkedIn profile, right? Or if I go to YouTube and I get stuck in a YouTube hole watching like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of someone's videos, that's way different than looking at someone's LinkedIn profile. That's the difference, is like how we consume them, right? We're consuming LinkedIn in a way different way than we are almost all the other platforms, right? So when I think about that, like, I just think it's better to focus on the thing that's actually going to pay your bills and get you clients. LinkedIn, right? Can you go back to your hobbit hole, please? I'll give you a snacko. You're over here. Can you, I don't know if you guys can hear her making noises over here, but she's been over here making noises. Go back to your hobbit hole. Go back to your hobbit hole. Good job. All right. High five. High five. You got to actually make it. There you go. Good job. oh, I lost it. There you go. Good job. Oh my gosh. All right. So I'm hoping that this is making you feel a little bit less pressured about social media and what you should and should not do. Don't look desperate. Don't post all the time if you don't want to. Don't set up an account that you feel like you have to run all the time. If you have a ton of ideas, right? Like if you are coming from a place of like you have hundreds of ideas to talk about something, like you've been working in cybersecurity for a super long time and you just have like tons of ideas to talk about, that could be like an Instagram or a YouTube where you could talk about and give ideas for content or about that niche. But oftentimes you're better off not doing that until later on. So a lot of times I get early on freelance writers or people who have been freelance writers for like 2 to 3 years that are like, oh my God, I have to do this thing. Like I have to get on social media. No, you don't. No, you don't. And you never have to get on social media. I still know people who are not only not on social media, they don't have a website and they still get work. Okay? Like I still know people who do not have a website, which I think is like, you definitely need a website. I definitely think like you can start with LinkedIn and then build out a website, but I think a website is kind of, you got to have that. But I still know people who don't have websites who still get a ton of work. So social media is like buzzy and fun sometimes, and it is very popular. And we love to talk about social media because it's like the thing people are addicted to, right? But I just think if you're trying to build an actual business, it's not about recency and it's not about metrics and it's not about likes and it's not about this thing. Like I think if the actual foundation of your freelance writing business is getting the marketing activities done. You have to do the foundation. You have to get good at that foundation. That foundation has to take you less and less time. Then when you have way extra time, then when you have lots of ideas, you can go off on podcast, other like YouTube, social media, bonanza if you want to. All right. Let's see. I'm going to check the chat for questions. I didn't see any, but maybe there are some. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So last thing I'm going to say about this, right? If anything, what have we learned? LinkedIn is important. Forget everything else. If you do want to get on other platforms, feel free. But remember, like it's a different ball game. The other thing is like, don't post about you needing clients. I just don't think that's useful. It just makes you look desperate. Actually do the marketing. I also feel like when you do that, it's like lazy marketing. Like if you were actually doing the marketing, you wouldn't need to ever post that. If you were actually doing your marketing and following the steps and sending your LOIs and pitches, you would never need to say like, I have 2 spots open. Like, no. So if you do the foundational stuff, you'll know what to post on these things. You'll have a bunch of clips. You'll have new clients, right? And you'll have a bunch of things that you can post, you know, I don't know, whenever you feel like it, whenever you finish the project, right? Like Vesna is a good example actually, because she just finished her first white paper. So round of applause to Vesna. She finished her first white paper. So when that white paper gets published, Vesna, that means you need to make a post about it, right? And you don't need to say it's your first white paper, but you do need to say like, here's my client, here's what I did, here's why it was fun or interesting or unique, and then here's the link to check it out if it's like, you know, publicly available. If it's a paywall, you know, it depends. But definitely post about that, right? Because you want more white papers. I know you said it almost killed you. That's what it's like sometimes when, I'm going to talk about this for a quick second. That's what it's like sometimes when you have a new project. Like, remember how I talked about it took me a month to write my first article? That wasn't even a white paper. It was just my first reported article. It took me a month to do it. That's part of this. Like, it was a process where it was the same way. It like almost killed me. It was a disaster and it took forever, but I did it. And then now it's like riding a bike. It's like not that big of a deal. It's just part of the process of like learning how to do it. And then once you do the first one, now you can optimize it. Now you can figure out how to do it. Now the pressure's kind of off because you already have an example. But it's just kind of part of it is like, this is why it's hard for people to write. People often think they can write and they can't. Like, even for us, right? These are hard things to do. It's hard to write the right things or say the right things at the right time or have the proper research or footnotes or put things in the right areas. Or it's a lot of complicated steps, right? But at least now that you've done it, you don't have to worry about doing your first one again. And you have an example, and now you can post something. All right, people, so we're here every Friday. Oh, you know what? If you feel like this was helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you feel like you want to learn more about building a freelance writing business you adore or hitting 6 figures, subscribe. We're here every Friday, even when we're not in our hobbit holes. We're here every Friday at noon Central Time. Go back to your hobbit hole. Come here. Here. Oh, my gosh. Did you just melt? What are you doing? Oh, my goodness. Go back to your hobbit hole, you sass. Anyways, I tried to pick Minnie up, and Minnie just, like, melted into my arms like a little hotel mint. Go back to your hobbit hole. We're here every Friday at noon Central Time. If you ever want to suggest a question or a topic, you can put it in mandyellis.com/question. So if you have been watching this and you're like, wait, I have questions, don't worry. I always answer them. Go to mandyellis.com/question, and you can put your question in there, and I'll answer it on the live stream. Or if you have a topic that you want me to cover, pop it in there. If you are wondering how to price your projects better, go to mandyellis.com and get my free pricing guide. And I just updated it a few months ago with a bunch of strategy projects, so it's all fancy. So if you go to mandyellis.com/pricing guide, you can get it. And I think that's it. So we're going to say, go back to your hobbit hole. You just love to be over here, like barking at me and stepping on my feet and being a sass. You can't get anything unless you're in your hobbit hole. Good job. You're so sassy. So sassy and spicy. So sassy and spicy. Here you go. Good job. High five. Other one. Good job. Other one. Good job. All right. So we're saying goodbye from the hobbit hole, and we're saying goodbye, and I hope everybody has a good weekend. I hope everybody has a good Halloween, because I'm not going to see you guys until after Halloween, but I hope everybody has a fun time on Halloween and has fun costumes and all that stuff. And I'll see you next Friday. Bye.